Hi, my name is Mark Bernot. I'm a monetary economist, and in this video I want to talk about how Ukraine can develop, redevelop, and transform after this geopolitical event. This might be a series that I might do, but I want to start off with some ideas which I think you might find interesting, novel, and relevant to economic growth and development, specifically how Ukraine can recover from this. Now, a lot of people have asked me how long it will take and how long it will take to recover completely. This is all obviously fluid. I mean, in theory, it can be done in a year. Now, that's obviously ultra optimistic, but think about it. You can build a house. Time is like in 2 weeks or 10 years. Time is kind of fluid. It expands like gas in a balloon. And like if you're ever a student, you know that when the pressure is on, you turn the jets on and study and cram for the test. Time is not the factor. It's the methodology in which you approach the economic growth and development of a particular country. And I've got some salient points that are vital to understanding how a country develops properly. A country might develop properly. It needs to be based on decentralization. Decentralization in economics is the key. Adam Smith, 1776, Ludwig von Mises, F.A. Hayek. This is not hippie-type talk. E.F. Schumacher, 1960s, wrote a book, Small is Beautiful. Although it's probably on the opposite end of the spectrum as Adam Smith, it has the same essential ideas, decentralization. So let's begin with some points. 1, transparency, 1766. The Swedish government hard-coded in their constitution public access to everything. And they have developed this culture of awareness. Consequently, Sweden and other Scandinavian countries like Denmark, Norway, Iceland, Finland have tremendous transparency, except for maybe obviously defense. Transparency is a key, and it's congruent with what Adam Smith says. He was not zero government. He was not Ayn Rand. He was basically create an environment which fostered and facilitated growth, and transparency does that. Ukraine has these laws in place. They have transparency laws. They have to continue to develop this tradition. You should be able to go in Ukraine and look at the salary of every single government worker in Ukraine. You should be able to see what they're about, their profile, how much they make, where it comes from. You digitally track transfers of money. You should be able to see anything, and Ukraine should promote this awareness and this culture that people should just check each other in the government. So you have transparency. The result is you're going to see corruption go to 0 to none, and economic activity and respect around the world and confidence will increase. Number 2, land ownership. In Poland, they've had this unique law. Foreigners can't own land. They have something similar for agriculture, but it's still a bit loosey-goosey in Ukraine. It has to be hardcore. Nothing against foreigners, nothing against foreign direct investment. That promotes growth. But the idea is during this transition time, land values are going to be substantially less. PPP, currency, etc. So you don't want, let's say Russians, Germans, or whoever, just Chinese, just snapping up all the land in Ukraine because it's selling at a discount garage sale type price. Let Ukraine have this transitional time. It could be 25 years. These laws are still in place. Even in Krakow, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, as a foreigner, you don't hold a citizenship. You can't buy land. What you can do is you can buy the building on top of the land, but that's not buying the country of Poland. You don't want that wholesale sale of the whole country of Ukraine. So number 1 is transparency. Number 2 is land ownership laws must be restricted temporarily, at least, until the transition is over. What do you guys think? Number 3, education. Education, Adam Smith, he emphasizes it. It's a big exclamation mark. Education, he often said in London, he noticed that there were these lads from the poor section and the rich section. The rich section got good education. They did great in life. The poor section did not. And he said these were the same people, many with the same last names and even the same family heritage. There's no genetic variation there, and I don't believe in this genetic variation for a potential. I'll get into that later. It was simply education. So education, but how do you approach education? You're asking me? I mean, I like private vouchers, emphasize private. You could be even online things, but my kids are unschooled. They're not even homeschooled. I mean, they're just basically hanging out. But what does that mean? That means, except for math, that we have to drill them with, because no kid just gets up in the morning and says, I want to open a math book. They pursue pretty much what they want, and with some guidance. The consequence is they're multilingual, play chess, doing these crazy things, medieval sword fighting in a structured class. They pursue the things that they want. That's another variation of you be the person you want to be. And that's how it all works. When everybody's doing the things that they want to do in this world, it's the most efficient. So we're going to get into that. That goes to the decentralization of money and funds. Small is beautiful. Don't give it to the corporations and make this monolithic industries. I know there's a lot of talk. We're going to make these technology centers and we're going to make defense industry. No, get away from that defense. Just put that in your past. That's my opinion. Convert that defense into something like space exploration, new technologies, all those bright minds, green technologies, agriculture, sustainable agriculture, whatever, unleash those minds. Technology centers. Was Google started in a technology center? No, I think it was started in somebody's garage. What about Amazon? Same thing. And what about Adobe? Or what about Linux even? That's not a corporation technically. I mean, that's just some crowdsourcing, open source, people, hackers coming together. Minds are being unleashed in this way. And that's the way you want to do it. Decentralized economics. So if the IMF and all the people who are smoking cigars and congratulating themselves on being masters of the universe with Port Brandy say, let's give it to these large monolithic corporations, you don't do that. You give it to the people. Give it to, some sort of almost earned income tax credit we have in the United States, which is a reverse income tax, and you can distribute it conditionally on, rebuilding buildings and agriculture, hand tools, and things like that. It can be spent on that, on vouchers. So you want this economic dispersion and diffusion and diversity of GDP, because that's what makes an economy healthy. Look at the EU or look at the United States. It's not concentrated. In fact, as a guiding principle for Ukraine, you should do the opposite of what Russia does, the opposite of Moscow. You ever saw the Seinfeld episode? The opposite, I recommend it. Jerry Seinfeld says, George Costanza, if every instinct you ever had was incorrect, why don't you do the opposite? And George goes, yes, I will do the opposite. That's what Ukraine should do. Russia stresses these monolithic large corporations with centralization and allocating funds where the few and the elite think it's do fit. Ukraine should emphasize all people, because latent within all people is unlimited potential. We all add up to 100%. There are geniuses. We are all, I know it's kind of hoyoa, peace and love, but it's true. You don't know where that next innovation is going to come from. The person who has trouble with reading, that's the person that might invent something really crazy and out of the box, divergent thinking. That's how you want to run an economy. Any money flows should be coming grounds up, grassroots. If you do put some allocations, put it into things that are meaningful, like, eco buildings, sustainable agriculture, like I said. Oh, and about buildings. Don't worry that there's a lot of rubble and destruction. Of course that hurts my heart, but this is a golden opportunity to have a tabula rasa, blank slate. Maybe you want to do those eco houses. Maybe you want to do new materials instead of asbestos and lead. To just remove all that in a responsible way and replace it. I mean, when you build a home, don't you want to have like an eco-friendly home, an earth home, or something really cool? Modular homes. Poland did this. They have amazing homes in the countryside and around the city that look brand spanking new and much better than the falling apart homes trying to take a communist, block of flats and resurrect it, is to just wipe it out. I'm a real estate agent in Florida, and I know that destroying a home and just wiping it, starting with a blank slate, is pretty cheap, actually. It's the land that always matters. And that's why I say Ukrainians should own the land. Okay, so we've got transparency, we've got education, vouchers, we've got land ownership, small is beautiful, trade. Priority number one, magic pixie dust, trade. EU, open up free movement of labor and capital with the European Union, at least being a junior partner initially, then a full partner. And it will turn into Poland. It will turn into, Poland's, like I said, it's just amazingly rich. I can't believe it. It's dizzying. It'll turn into Ireland. These countries are the poorest countries in Europe, and now they're the richest. We're getting there. This is what makes trade, comparative advantage, specialization, Adam Smith. If I really wanted to, just in a thought experiment, you do a thought experiment, you take thousands of copies of Adam Smith over a developing nation and just drop it. Return there 30 years later and see what happens. It doesn't have to even be 30 years, 10 years. I mean, look at Hong Kong versus mainland China, South Korea versus North Korea. Trade is the magic pixie dust because of comparative advantage. It's an ultimate form of specialization. You want to know about specialization? Check out Adam Smith, the pin factory. Okay, he realized that one person making a pin, and but if you all cooperate in terms of a factory, you can make like 10,000 more pins much more efficiently. Specialization, division of labor. That being said, some of the things Ukraine should promote are cottage industries. Yes, cultural tourism. I mean, my goodness, you don't have to have a beach to be a tourist destination. Who wants to fry on the beach anymore and get all these UVs? I don't need any more wrinkles. That's all played out. There's a million beaches. Just lay on the beach and fry, and just pork out. I don't want to be doing that. I want to be exploring bottom-selling authors, ancient forests, undisturbed forests. There's plenty of them in Ukraine, Poland, and if you look it up, you'll see with this unique ecosystems. Don't you want to be like basically running with the wolves and exploring this bison in these ancient forests with ancient trees? Cultural tourism. There's a lot of culture in Ukraine. Explore that. This, again, is dispersion of GDP all across the land. Not have it concentrated in Kiev. Or just like Russia, it all concentrated in Russia. That's not the model you want. And I know it's going to be hard for a lot of people in government. But that's my message to you, Ukraine. Diffusion, dispersion, diversity of the GDP. Don't give the money to the government. Don't give it to the corporations. Don't start technology centers. Don't emphasize the defense industry. Just earned income tax credit goes right in. I mean, in 2021, wasn't it great to get that bank? And everybody went to Hammer Barn, Home Depot, Lowe's type stores, started fixing their houses. At least around me, that's what I did. Okay, so and the economy's done pretty well since then. So we have trade. Infrastructure. Yeah, infrastructure. That can be it's kind of like a public good. But if you do it, like in Poland, they're pretty smart about it. They did a lot of this. They did private and government cooperation, NGOs, I think they're called. Okay, partnerships. And it's just great, all this infrastructure they have. It allows and facilitates communication, movement, logistics. And, you can say, well, that's government and you're an unrepentant capitalist. But no, there are some things that are public goods. I acknowledge that. Adam Smith acknowledges that. You don't want to have, and like air is a public good. You don't want to have a plastic factory next to a school, right? Spewing out stuff. There's some things you have to realize that on this small planet, we have to be able to, work together. Infrastructure might be one of them. And in Krakow, used to have a air pollution problem, and that's pretty. Sometimes I look at the air pollution index. Florida has sometimes higher than Krakow. They've got all these electric things now, electric moving devices from scooters to trams to you name it. So it's pretty cool. Okay, sustainable agriculture, green tech, start new. Oh, here's a bonus one. So crowdsourcing, digital technology, microfinancing, housing credits, covered it all. Conditional money going to the people. And how do I know this will work? Because I was once a hotshot stockbroker, and micro cap and small cap always outperform large cap, right? Okay, if you're an investor, you know that small cap, and micro cap always outperform because things are just more efficient. If you want to take it easy in life, just work for like a government entity or a big corporation, then it's like the office. You probably do about 4 hours of real work in a week. You just go there, chill out, check your email, do your mail, coffee break. Oh my goodness. That's a large corporation, monolithic. These micro-cap cottage industries work at home. I run a couple businesses from home, one in Europe, one in America. And I'm telling you, I'm pretty efficient. In large corporations, you can just kind of cushy life. You just take it easy. So emphasize these micro-cap industries by maybe giving these microfinancing loans. That's how the money should filter through. And I really hope you guys take my advice in Ukraine. Okay, so the last point is just kind of for fun. If I were to just blow cash, there's going to be a lot of money coming in, so much money you can't imagine. Oh, before I mention this point, I have to say, Ukraine is probably the largest completely in Europe country, and it's got the most wealth, probably $13 trillion of mineral oil and gas wealth. So if it's the largest country and the wealthiest country, we just have to unlock that potential. But the real potential is the people and the human minds. I mean, if you know Ukrainians, they're pretty hard-working, smart, educated people. So the last thing I want to mention is kind of a bonus tip. What I would do if I just wanted to blow cash is, I would spend it on fun things like libraries, as a public good, parks for kids. Who doesn't look? Any parents out there, any grandparents out there, it's just the amount of time you spend in the park with your kids in these nice, cushy, eco parks that, the kids, when they might trip, they're falling on sand or cushy things, spongy material with, non-metallic type soft playground. Isn't that great? Isn't that a form of communication? The ultimate internet is when women get together at the park and communicate, or people, and you exchange ideas. Knowledge is transferred. So you want this stuff. What about chess programs? You can blow some cash, promote chess. Ukraine is already a chess powerhouse. Chess, there's some statistical studies that argue that it can increase IQ. It's debatable, but, it at least increases cognitive skills and discipline. And then if you want to go over the top, why not cultural tourism, create something really cool. I know there's Papa Pig Park in England and, Legoland in Florida and Disney. Why not do a theme park like that? And maybe it's not going to pay now in Ukraine, but Lord of the Rings. Can you imagine Middle Earth doing a whole theme park? People from all over Europe would come there. People get bored. They don't know what to do. They've already laid on the beach in Greece 20,000 times. That country's kind of burning anyway because of this heat, climate change. But Lord of the Rings park, who wouldn't go there? But anyway, these are just some out-of-the-box ideas. Don't listen to me. My point being, this divergent thinking, this decentralized thinking is not hippie-ish. It's right out of Adam Smith's 1776, Ludwig von Mises, F.A. Hayek, and the names can go on. Free market America prospered. Free market Europe prospered. Even these Scandinavian countries that are incredibly prosperous, they're free market. You can set up a business pretty easy. Even in Poland, I set up a business in a few hours online. My goodness. That's the type of culture you want to promote in Ukraine. Not technology centers, not huge monolithic defense industries. Put that in the past. Heal this. You want to go forward with the power of the people. You want bottom-selling authors, not top-selling authors. And I hope Ukraine listens for this economic growth and development, because I am for Ukraine, 110%. I want to see them prosper. My name is Mark Biernat. I'm a monetary economist. Have a great day. Thank you very much.